You're tired of constantly steering, correcting, and wrestling life into shape. What if you could drop the wheel and still arrive exactly where you want to be? Not passive, not lazy, just so aligned inside that external things fall into place effortlessly. That's the upgrade we're looking into today. Welcome to the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel, Perennial Truths, Modern Freedom. This is the Tao Te Ching series. We're reading from the John Minford translation. The book is by Lao Tzu. We're in chapter 57, Of Their Own Accord. Rule a nation with the judgment of righteousness. Wage war with cunning. To this the Taoist replies, win all under heaven through not meddling. How do I know it to be true? Through the Tao. With more restrictions and prohibitions, and all under heaven the folks are the poorer. The more sharp weapons are wielded, the more benighted is the nation. With cunning skills, strange contraptions and devices proliferate. With laws and decrees, there are more robbers and thieves. So the Taoist says, I return to non-action, and the folk are transformed of their own accord. Of themselves, I cherish calm, and they are set right of themselves. I do not meddle, and they prosper. Of their own accord, I am free of desire, and they return to the uncarved block of their own accord. And as with our daily tradition, I will also be reading the River Master's commentary. With not meddling and non-action, all under heaven is one. This truth I know from the Tao in the present moment. A host of prohibitions only makes the folk ever more deceitful. They do each other harm, and the end result is increased poverty and misery. As cunning skills proliferate, such as elaborate decoration, the building of intricate palaces, the carving and cutting of precious stones, and the making of fine raiment, the folk will covet the gorgeous gold and jade inlays, the richly colored artifacts possessed by their superiors. The more highly developed the connoisseurship of such beautiful objects, the more the farming of the land and other such simple activities are neglected. The more hunger and cold become rampant, the more robbers and thieves prey on the unfortunate. So the Taoist says, I change nothing, and the folk are transformed and perfected. I do not meddle, and they prosper of themselves. I love calm, and they are loyal and law-abiding of themselves. I am free of desire, and they are simple of themselves, simple as the uncarved block. All right. Of their own accord. This is how I try to lead my teams, is through this Taoist mindset of peace and calm, free of desire, and letting the natural flow to unfold. And what I find is that if I remain in peace, even when things that I don't want to happen are happening, and I remain centered, when the time comes to do something or to act in a way, it feels natural and comes of itself. Meaning it's a natural impulse to do the next right thing. And so what happens as you follow this path of non-action or inspired action, and you remain in peace regardless of what's happening around you, and this is again from a leadership perspective, the natural unfolding of the thing you would have desired to happen naturally happens, and it feels like God has just come down and blessed you. And this happens to me so often now that I come to expect it. I'm not attached to the expectation of it. I know how it works. I know that if I can stay centered in the present moment, that whatever is happening will find its natural conclusion, which generally works out in what I would deem as my favor. And for the things that don't work out in my favor, I keep an open heart and an open mind to, and eventually all things come back around. And it's just kind of this, I picture it as this circular kind of progression, right? Where it's like something happens, it's negative, it comes around, it's positive, and it moves us forward. And then the next thing happens, it might appear to be negative, could be positive initially, could turn negative. And it's like, but it's the assignment of negative and positive that create the suffering. So if you can detach from labeling events in your life as negative or positive, then you can just take all things in stride and live a more holistic, fruitful, joyful, peaceful, loving life. What I think is interesting about this chapter is Lao Tzu's talking about the Taoist. This feels like the Tao Te Ching to me feels like a leadership book, right? And it is in some ways. It was partly designed for political leaders or leaders of nations to know how to rule in a way that would most benefit the person who's acting in this way, the leader, the people, and the nation as a whole. And this is, again, it all comes back to this over kind of focus, this high focus on action to achieve or desire or chasing a desire, creating a lot of action around a desire, which creates a lot of negative consequence, which is very disruptive to the natural flow of things. So the best leaders, the most mature leaders, know they must cultivate present moment awareness. What that means is drop the act, drop the stories, drop the emotions, beliefs, the traumas. And when you can act from present moment awareness, you do no harm. And in fact, you empower the people beneath you. And this is the greatest gift that anyone could possibly ever give. Because by empowering the people beneath you, or if you want to take a different stance in the people around you, you create space for them to find peace and then to also become leaders in their own lives. And through them finding peace, they're able to be a more coherent force in the world. And through the chain reaction that comes from that, the world is transformed to become more in alignment with spirit. If this chapter resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel so we can get these videos out to more people. This is the Boundless Sovereign YouTube channel, Perennial Truths, Modern Freedom. We'll see you in chapter 58.